In what may be one of the most embarrassing things ever put on TV, okay, one of, MSNBC anchor Brian Williams, along with an editorial board member for the New York Times, did math so incredibly wrong that they actually stated Michael Bloomberg could have given everyone in America $1 million because they don't understand how simple division works. This tweet that they're reading, like morons, comes from another writer, someone who has bylines with the Washington Post. And actually, as much as this is kind of funny to see the sheer stupidity of these people, it's actually really, really scary when you realize how many millions of people tune into MSNBC. The reason why this segment is important is not because it shows that journalists are really stupid. I'm sure many of you click this because you are excited. Maybe it's a little bit of schadenfreude or confirmation bias. But I've got scarier implications. There are scarier implications here. When it comes to segments like this, we can see how stupid they are. But when it comes to information they're supposed to be vetting that we can only confirm through them, they're equally as stupid, and you just don't realize it. There is something called the Gelman amnesia effect. I've talked about it many, many times. If you're not familiar, it basically states you as an individual may be an expert on something. Let's say you're a carpenter or a meme smith. Let's say you're someone who makes memes on the internet for fun. You know where the memes come from. You understand the jokes. You and your friends play games and make these things, and it's funny. Along comes a news reporter who writes an article about memes. And you're sitting there reading it laughing how stupid they are because it's completely wrong. You then go to the next link, a story about, say, Syria. And you're like, wow, I didn't know that. The general idea is that when we are experts on something, we can see just how awful news media really is and how stupid these people really are. But then we completely forget once we read a story in which we are not experts because we can only assume what they're saying is true. This is the terrifying reality of news media. Now, I do think they tend to get a lot of things right. That, you know, they're regular people. They're telling us what they think they know. But we've had a serious problem in the past several years, maybe decade, where the quality of journalism has completely run off a cliff. And now we get segments like this. I want to show you this clip, and I need you to listen to this because this is the perfect example, the most egregious example of the Gelman amnesia effect. Basic math, something you would learn in first grade, maybe even kindergarten. When did you learn how to do 2 plus 2? When did you learn division? Because I think I was in first grade and we were already doing long division. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. I don't know what these people were doing, but let me show you this clip and you will laugh. And you will laugh and you will smile and you will say, I knew it. These people are morons. But I assure you, the implications are actually terrifying, and I'll show you why. Here's the clip, and I hope you're ready for this.
But you see it as a possibility if he wants to spend $1 billion beating this guy, he could do it.
Absolutely. Somebody tweeted recently that actually with the money he spent, he could have given every American $1 million.
I've got it. Let's put it up on the screen. When I read it tonight on social media, it kind of all became clear. Bloomberg spent $500 million on ads. U.S. population 327 million. Don't tell us if you're ahead of us on the math. He could have given each American $1 million and have had lunch money left over. It's an incredible way of putting it.
It's an incredible way of putting it. It's true. It's disturbing. It does suggest, you know, what we're talking about here, which is there's too much money in politics. And it makes it difficult because what we want.
She actually says it's true. It's not true. But I'll tell you why this is scary. She's an editorial member for the New York Times. She writes stories about how Joe Biden is doing well and about how Democrats are doing this, that, or otherwise. In reality, these people don't understand something very simple. If you have $500 million and 300 million people, each of them gets just over $1. I think the actual math comes out to like $1.56 per person. For some reason, it went through the entire process of this news program. Someone pitched this. Hey, look at this tweet. This is hilarious. Bloomberg could have given everyone $1 million. No, that would be, I think, like $327 trillion to actually give everyone $1 million, something like that. It goes through the producers. It gets vetted by everyone involved in the process, makes its way to Brian Williams and an editorial board member for the New York Times, and they go, wow. Now, it's funny, right? You're laughing. Think about all the other news stories. Think about Russiagate, Ukrainegate. Think about the things Rachel Maddow has said on her show. And now realize everything they have said is as stupid as this. The only difference, we all know basic math. We all know 2 + 2 is 4, right? But what we're not experts on is the nuances of the U.S. Department of Justice, the criminal legal system, what happened with Russia and these documents and the Steele dossier. I want you to consider for a moment that everything they put out, maybe not everything, but much of it, is equally as stupid. But if you don't see the documents, if you have not talked to the prosecutors, you don't know the basic math. The point is, if all of us go to school and we all know how simple this is supposed to work, and they're too stupid to actually understand this, that it makes it through all of their vetting processes, that it makes it on the air, so much so that the person who wrote the tweet actually locked their account down. That's how viral this thing has gone. Think about the things you can't correct them on. If one of their reporters or journalists says, I have proof that Donald Trump, sold cheesecake to Russia, well, you can't fact check that. It's not basic arithmetic. You assume it's true. Now, I assume most people who watch content like mine are going to assume it's not true, but then you end up with millions of people who just assume it's true because they trust this network. Now, there is good news here so that you don't got to be completely scared. And that's this segment was so insanely moronic and dumb. Perhaps some people might now realize how stupid these people really are. Let me read a little bit. I don't need to read you exactly what happened, but I can show you some of the tweets. This person actually did the math. $1.56. That's what it comes out to. You round down. You get $1.56. This person said, MSNBC, really? You put this on the air with only Brian Williams' weak caveat about being ahead of you on the math? Shameful and embarrassing. Poor Makita Rivas will never live this down. Bloomberg isn't a trillionaire. You know what, man? And the woman who tweeted this, I feel bad for. She's not a high profile person. She's got just shy of 2,000 followers, but she is a writer with bylines at Refinery 29, Glamour Mag, Washington Post, and Wine Enthusiast. And she changed her profile to say, I know I'm bad at math. These are the people who are writing the news. The people who think they're smarter than you, who sit atop their ivory tower in New York City and tell you what is and what isn't. And it's bad. Now, I don't know if there's any more. Okay, so they then show the Anchorman joke. But we can see how bad it really is. Now I want you to consider this. In a tweet from Rachel Maddow of MSNBC, she says, quote, Judge calls Barr's handling of Mueller report distorted and misleading. She links to the New York Times. You know what you can do with this tweet? You can click the X button and close it. You know why? Rachel Maddow at this network has said such insanely stupid things that Russia, my favorite go-to, Russia might actually shut down the electricity in Fargo in the winter. It's coming. Yet she is still on the air. They go after Alex Jones and they ban him because they say he's dangerous. Conspiracy theories. What do you think MSNBC is? They don't even know math. You know what's really funny? I can't wrap my head around how people get this wrong, but I've seen it before. Someone spent $500 million. You can give every American $1 million. What? Let's say you have $300 and there are 300 people in front of you. Can you give everyone $100? How does this happen? How are these people that stupid? How are they in these positions to where they can start telling Americans what to think about what's going on in the world? This scares me. So I showed you the Rachel Maddow tweet for a reason. Because many people might say, look, you can criticize MSNBC and Maddow for the stupid things they've said, but she's just linking to a story and quoting it. And it's fair to an extent, because I also use the New York Times as a source. But I think you got to take it with a grain of salt, even the New York Times. That woman who said, it's true. Oh, it's shocking. It shows there's too much money in politics, is what she said. She's an editorial board member for the New York Times. These people are, look, I'm going to say something that might get me in trouble, but I mean this sincerely. I am not disparaging them based on any characteristics, but I want you to know, I'll keep the language light. These people are, to an extent, challenged. Okay, I'm going to be light on how I say this, but I mean it. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to just insult these people or get a dig at them. I'm literally telling you that I sincerely think when you have these people working for these jobs that can't do basic division, like, dude, dividing 500, by 327, it's not a complicated problem. We learn how to do this in first, second grade. I don't know what you learned. I think we learned this in first grade. 6, 7 years old. You're learning how to do these things, and they can't do it. And it makes it through all of these vetting processes. If they can't handle something as basic as long division, I mean, I don't even want to call it long division, basic division. If they can't handle that, how can they handle complex ideas like legal matters, like Russia conspiracy theories? They can't. It would be like a 7-year-old kid screaming that, Trump is a secret agent. You would dismiss it. You would say, I get it. That's cute. You're a little kid. You're too stupid to understand how the world's working. But these people hire others like them. They live in a world where they are just so incredibly ignorant. Look, I'm trying to be nice, okay? A lot of people I know would make videos and they would insult them, they would swear, and they would mock and belittle because they're looking for confirmation bias or schadenfreude. Me, no, I'm shocked by this. Granted, I laughed. I facepalmed. I couldn't believe it. It made it to the air. Think about the stories that Rachel Maddow pushes, that she links from the New York Times, and that this woman is an editorial board member for the New York Times. Think about the people they've hired and the things they've written, and it's fake news. If they can't handle 2 + 2, how can they handle the nuances of a criminal justice investigation involving numerous parties, 17 errors, FISA courts? They can't do it. And this is what we're basing our political, our policy decisions on? I'll tell you what, man, we are facing a complete downward spiral, particularly at MSNBC. Now, over on Fox News, you get Trump angry that they're bringing on people like Donna Brazile. But hey, as much as you can criticize Fox News, at least they're trying to expand their perspective. They're going after moderates who feel disaffected by people like MSNBC. I'll tell you what, man, if after seeing that, you're still convinced Brian Williams or MSNBC can bring you factual information, there is something wrong with you too. Because how glaringly obvious does it need to be? Now, some might say, but Tim, it was one simple mistake. No, it was the one mistake you were able to point out because you're not a moron. But if you're still willing to accept that what they say is true, then I'm sorry, you are a moron. Just not as stupid as they are. Now, we have the story from the New York Post from a couple days ago. Because as many of you know, Chris Matthews of MSNBC, he was fired. I'll do air quotes. He quit. To be fair, he announced on the air that he was resigning. Now, I'm not a big fan of Chris Matthews. Never really cared for him or watched him. He was let go because, in my opinion, he came after Bernie Sanders. MSNBC, the people who watch this, you know why? Not all of them, but many of them are for, say, Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders. They don't understand math. I hope this scares you as much as it scares me. Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders are proposing a wealth tax. I've talked about this quite a bit. The idea is that if you're a billionaire, I cannot stand Warren. I am so happy she is out, because hearing a moron say moronic things is mind-numbing to me. Okay? Again, I'm not calling her a moron because I'm trying to insult her and be mean. I'm saying it because it is a fact. She says, I just want to take 2 cents per dollar from these billionaires. Well, she's either lying to you or she's stupid. I'll tell you what, I think she's a liar. The wealth tax mathematically makes no sense. These people can't get past 1 + 1. In order to strategize, to make a plan, you have to think about the plan what's your problem? What's your proposed solution? And what are the predicted outcomes for that solution? When they say, We've got to pay for healthcare and we can do it with a wealth tax. Then people say your wealth tax would make it so that no more billionaires exist. And they say, and what's the problem with that? Because you're using the billionaires to fund your programs. If there are no billionaires, you can't fund your programs. Did you think about what comes after what you've done? They can't get past 1 + 1 = 2. And it's apparent when they do this ridiculous math crap. The wealth tax, these plans. Bernie Sanders doing an interview on 60 Minutes with Anderson Cooper saying, I don't know how much everything's going to cost, but we're going to tax Wall Street. There's not even any real plan there. You literally can't just do that. But this is why people support him. The people who watch MSNBC, who didn't catch this, that scares me. Because these are the people who are like, I'm going to go vote and I'm going to vote for Bernie Sanders because makes sense to me. I know it does make sense to them, but it doesn't make sense at all. You can't just tax Wall Street speculation. It doesn't actually make sense. And who are you taxing? Retirement accounts? There's so much complexity to how the market works. Trade volume. Have you considered that? Will increasing a tax decrease trade volume and decrease revenue? I can't predict it. I don't know for sure. But if you think you can come out and definitively say, we're going to institute a small tax on Wall Street speculation and that'll pay for things, you haven't taken into consideration any of the factors, social dynamics into how markets actually work. Over the past several days, I think the Dow Jones, general stocks, have been bouncing up and down like crazy. So how are you going to tell me you can predict how this thing will work? You can't. But these people go on TV, they rile up the crazy base about Russiagate, screeching all day and night. Rachel Maddow still tweeting about it. And the New York Times and the Washington Post reporter who made the tweet in the first place. So I bring up Chris Matthews because they say he got fired for doing his job. You know, they say that he basically was saying things that, women don't want to hear or that he shouldn't say in the workplace. And that's fair. Here's what he said. Chris Matthews didn't get fired for being a sex monster. He got fired for doing his job. And what was that job? To represent the non-crazy. No Kool-Aid for me, thanks, left on television, while being entertaining and pointed and wacky. Read the GQ piece published Friday that apparently got Matthews fired, and you'll note the writer, Laura Bassett, had two completely unrelated categories of complaint that she artfully weaved together to create an indictment of Matthews as a sexist. He brings up another interesting point, and we can segue from there. MSNBC is bending the knee to these morons. So think about it this way. You've got to be a special kind of stupid to do the segment they just did. Will they issue a retraction or an apology, or are they too embarrassed to bring it up? I don't know. But you got to be a special kind of stupid to get that all the way through your vetting process, through the entire company to make it to air without doing a simple calculation. To pull up your phone, you got a calculator on it, right? They didn't do it. They then regurgitate that word vomit into the ears of people who are mindlessly watching their idiot box and just believing what's being said to them. And then those people complain to MSNBC and get their hosts fired. It is a toilet swirl into oblivion. They are feeding their audience vomit, who is then vomiting it back into their ears, spinning downward into the drain. And they have the nerve to criticize Fox News? Look, you can say that Fox News is only right about Russiagate because it's partisan, but at least they were right about Russiagate. It was trash nonsense. And here we are. They still believe it. They won't let it go. And it's simple. It's because they can't put two and two together. Think about what the basic concept of math really is. The ability to take two different objects and recognize what you will get when those things come together. It can be anything. It can be an action. It can be an action plus an object. You need to say, if I have a rock and I throw it at a window, the outcome will be a broken window. Or typically, there's probabilities involved. Maybe you'll miss. Maybe the window's strong. But the point is, you understand that rock plus window equals broken glass. Tends to. These people can't do that. So they start pushing fringe conspiracy theory ideas. It generates an audience of conspiracy-minded lunatics who are woke, identitarian, dogmatic zealots because they've been fed the trash and they feed it right back. It's a race to the bottom to produce the lowest common denominator of shock content that's going to get you traffic. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I think I get things wrong too. But what you need to understand about what's happening in media, these people are controlling that. What they say is establishment weight. I'll give you an example. David Pakman. You may not like the guy. I know a lot of people who watch me aren't fans of his. I'm not saying you have to be. I'm saying it's important to listen to him. But I will tell you this. While I think David is wrong on many things, he certainly thinks I'm wrong on many things. He's infinitely better than what they've just done. But he's been wrong, and I think he has. But what YouTube has started doing to his channel, to my channel, and others, is funneling anybody who watches him towards MSNBC. That's what's scary to me. When you get someone on YouTube who you like, who represents your values, who speaks to you and to an extent confirms your bias. That's why I think it's important to break your echo chamber bubble, even if you think they're wrong. You are better off with a diversity of opinions on YouTube than you are with one top-down network spewing vomit into your ears. But YouTube reacting to these people, changes the algorithm so that if you watch my channel, you get funneled to Fox News. That's a fact. If you watch David, you get funneled to MSNBC. I think we're in serious danger if that's the case, and with that being the case. I can't believe that you have this psychotic fringe MSNBC conspiracy stuff, and we are now in a world where if you watch an independent commentator, you'll get pushed to that. I don't think it's a grand conspiracy. I think it's morons being morons. And people in advertising are also morons. We have a general degradation of critical thought in a lot of these companies, and we're spiraling down the toilet. But when you realize that YouTube is reacting to these people, I kind of lose hope. Some days I wake up and I see a news story and I'm like, this has restored my hope in humanity. And then I wake up and see stories like this and I'm like, dear Lord, help us. Because these are the people who are complaining about Russia. These are the people who are complaining about Alex Jones, getting people banned from the internet, propping up politicians, pushing policy ideas, and they can't do 500 divided by 327. They can't do it. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel, and I will see you all then.